When you want to build a new home, you might be wondering what it takes to get contractors to bid your drawings and what you need to do to get approvals from your local jurisdiction to build your house. Understanding these processes is important for you to get your house built. Hi there, I'm Cale with Hodeby, Home Design by You, where I bring you design tips and guides for your new house design. Getting contractors to bid on your drawings and getting the local authorities to issue a permit for the construction can seem daunting. How do you select the contractors you want to bid? How much time does the bidding process take? What do I need to do to get permission to build? These processes can seem overwhelming. Though there is a lot to consider, it's actually fairly straightforward. In this video, I'll walk you through the process of bidding your project and obtaining the approval of the local authorities. At the end of this video, I'll provide bonus information where I'll do a quick walkthrough of the sequence of construction for a residential project. Let's get started on getting your house design bid and built. Once you have your design completed and all the drawings and specifications you need to get your house built, you'll need to start the process of getting the house constructed. The traditional method of this is to utilize the design bid build process, where the design and contract documents are complete and you request several general contractors to provide bids. You'll then need to submit information to your local jurisdiction to get approval to build. These will be the focus of this video. The first thing you'll need to do is decide on which contractors you'll want to bid on the project. You'll likely have done some preliminary research on contractors in your area prior to this point to get familiar with their work. An important part of deciding who all you want to bid the project, called the shortlist, is to meet with each potential candidate. Discuss their process, visit some of their representative projects, and contact their references. The project visits are important to see the quality of construction each contractor can provide. Talking with their references allows you to get a sense of how their relationships with owners worked, finding out any problems that occurred, and how those issues were resolved. Also, what the day-to-day attitude and responsiveness of the contractor was. Once you have the short list, you'll need to bid the project. The bidding process involves packaging your drawings, specifications, and bidding requirements to be delivered to each contractor on your short list. Bidding requirements outline your information, the project information, the cost the contractor is to provide in his bid, the delivery method of the bid, the date the bid is due, and when you'll decide on the contractor. You'll also list out the drawings and specifications included as part of the package. Prior to issuing these documents to the bidder, the bidding requirements should be reviewed with your legal representative, any lending agency for the project, and your insurance representatives. They'll need input to address any legal, financial, bonding, and insurance requirements that will be needed for the contractor for the project. The bidding period will usually be several weeks, usually 3 to 4, so that the contractors can review the documents. They'll determine the material quantities for the project, decide on the subcontractors they want to use, and then put together the bid package. To get their bid numbers, the general contractor will talk with several subcontractors for each part of the work being subcontracted, selecting the subs that'll give them the best price and quality of work for your project. The contractor and subcontractors will also talk with numerous suppliers to establish the cost of the materials they'll need to purchase and have delivered for the job. An interesting part of this effort is that most of the subcontractors and suppliers contacted by one general contractor will often be contacted by the other contractors as well. The relationships a general contractor has with the subs and suppliers is an important part of the bid. Those relationships can lead to better pricing from a sub or supplier to one general contractor compared to another. The relationships are also important in terms of the sub's quality of work for the price. A good relationship can lead to getting the best teams on a project, better quality with fewer mistakes or callbacks to fix the work, and a better chance of meeting the project schedule. The relationships with suppliers is also important. A contractor with a good relationship can often get better pricing on materials. Also, a supplier that can deliver on time is an important aspect for the project schedule that the contractor will provide as part of the bid. Another important aspect of the bids is the insurance and bonding the contractor and the subs will be required to have. The experience, quality of work, and the number of claims each has will affect the cost to provide these. Once the generals compile this information, they'll create their overall costs for the project and decide on their best subcontractors. They'll also outline any clarifications to their bids to ensure the best understanding for what their work covers. Once all of the contractors submit their bids, you'll have a short period of time, usually no more than a week, to review the bids. You'll meet with the contractors to discuss their bids and then select the contractor you want to work with. Now that you've selected the general contractor, you'll need to negotiate a written agreement with them. You should be sure to have a legal representative available to work on your behalf. There are 3 methods of pulling together these agreements. First is to create one from scratch. This isn't realistic for you or your legal representative, so don't try it. There are too many established elements and nuances to the industry to do it effectively. The second is to use a standard agreement that balances the needs and responsibilities of all parties involved. The AIA, known as the American Institute of Architects, has such agreements that have been vetted through the courts for many decades. Other similar organizations in other countries will have similar standard agreements. It's usually easiest to have hired an architect to utilize such an agreement. They typically have a lot of experience over many construction projects and can pull together an initial draft that you and your legal, financial, and insurance representatives can review. The third method is to use an agreement offered by the general contractor, modified to meet your project. Such agreements tend to be weighted more towards the benefit of the contractor, so be sure you and your project representatives review and modify it as needed. Once you have the contractor on board with an agreement, you'll need to get approvals from the local authorities to build the project. You can do this yourself or have the contractor do this. If the contractor is to do this, you'll need to state that in the bidding requirements so that they can include the costs of any project fees in their bid. If you do this yourself, you might be able to get the required permits a bit faster in that you can start the approvals process before you bid the project. However, be aware that most jurisdictions will require the name of the contractor and important subcontractors that will build the project. Many, especially larger jurisdictions, require contractors and some specialty subcontractors such as plumbers and electricians to be registered with the jurisdiction to do any work. The permit process can vary in complexity and the amount of time it takes depending on the location. Many smaller communities and rural areas have few requirements beyond filling out a few forms. Larger communities, counties, and cities have more in-depth review processes requiring submittal of drawings and other documents for review and sign-off by the various departments of the authority. Be aware that many authorities in larger communities might require multiple permits, such as separate permits for site work, framing, general construction, and installation of plumbing, electrical, mechanical systems, and possibly others. Each permit will have a fee cost associated with it, and the issued permits must be kept and posted at the construction site. These permits will be reviewed on site by any municipal inspector to make sure you have the appropriate approvals for the work that's to be performed and inspected. Separate fees for inspections of the project can often be required by the local authorities and their various departments. Be sure to review with the authority all the fees involved and what they cover. The bidding and permitting process might seem complex, but it simply boils down to documenting the appropriate information for you to select a good contractor and to submit for approval to build. As long as you research and organize this information, the process can be efficient and effective. For your bonus, I'll now outline the construction sequence for your new house. Construction of your house can begin once all approvals to build are obtained. However, even before this, the contractor and subcontractor will have begun the process of ordering materials, scheduling deliveries to the site, and contacting local utilities regarding connections to their services. They'll also be preparing any submittals for you to review to confirm that what they're providing meets all requirements. As you're likely aware, a house is built from the ground up. The actual process isn't quite this simple, but the idea is the basis behind the sequence of the work. Since we start in the ground, the first thing to be done is to prepare the site. This involves removing any existing structures, vegetation, or boulders, and then moving a lot of dirt around to create a level area to build the house. Next, the foundation work will occur. This will involve surveying the site to establish the corners of the house. Then establishing guides will be set that are used to dig out trenches or holes in which the foundations and basement structures can be built. Next, we'll be building and pouring any foundation footings and building the concrete or masonry foundation walls. After that, a gravel bed is placed as the support for any concrete floor slabs, and plumbing and power conduits that run beneath the slab are installed. Water and vapor membranes required beneath the slab are placed, the slab reinforcement is set, and then the concrete slab is poured. Framing is the next step. In the U.S., this typically consists of wood stud framing. However, houses can also be built using light gauge steel studs, masonry walls, or superstructure systems built of structural steel or concrete columns. Structural framing or structural slabs for upper floors and roofs are part of the superstructure systems. The installation of interior wall studs or masonry walls will occur simultaneously to the exterior framing, but typically follows the erection of a superstructure. Next, the house will be enclosed. Large sheets of wood or rigid insulation board is placed on the exterior framing, including at the roof. Superstructure systems require the installation of infill framing on which these panels will be installed. The enclosure includes placing a moisture barrier sheet over the enclosure panels, any structural masonry or concrete walls, and the roof. The windows and temporary exterior doors will be installed to complete the enclosure. Next will be the installation of plumbing and electrical lines along with mechanical ductwork. If batt insulation is required at the perimeter walls, it will be placed after these lines are installed. Vapor barriers required within the walls are then installed over any perimeter framing prior to installation of any gypsum board wall panels or plaster wall systems. Next will be a combination of exterior and interior work. Exterior work involves the installation of finished materials such as siding, brick, or stucco on walls, and shingles or tiles on the roof. Exterior trim at windows, doors, and roof eaves will also be installed. Service lines between the house and the utility services will be placed and connected. The installation of any septic systems, irrigation systems, and exterior lighting will also occur. Interior work will include the installation of specialty framing for unique features and the installation of gypsum board or water-resistant panels or plaster systems over any stud framing or masonry support walls. Primary plumbing fixtures such as showers and tubs will be placed on the slabs or subfloors. The installation of hard floor finishes such as wood, tile, or stone are also installed. Toilets and any cabinetry in the house will then be placed. Sinks and faucets will be installed into the cabinetry, and electrical fixtures and trim will be installed. The electrical, mechanical, and plumbing systems will then be activated and tested, and interior finishes such as painting and wall covering will be installed. Site work will include moving dirt around again to obtain the final slopes needed for site drainage. Driveways, porches, patios, and walking paths will be created, and the site will be cleared of any remaining construction debris and equipment. The final elements will be installation of soft elements such as carpeting and drapery inside, along with exterior landscaping. Throughout all of this will be various inspections of the foundation, framing, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical systems by the local jurisdiction. Once all inspections have occurred and any issues addressed, the authority will issue a certificate of occupancy for the residents, after which you can move into your new home. At this point, the contractor will create what is called a punch list, which identifies any small items that remain to be addressed and completed, which you'll then review during a walkthrough of the house. The contractor will then have a limited time to address these issues. The contractor will then compile all warranty information and operation guides to be provided to you. Confirmation of completion of the punch list will occur, and all final paperwork and payments will be completed to close out the project. There are numerous variations to the contractor selection and bidding process, and the construction sequence specifics can vary a bit, depending on the house design, components, and the contractor. Be sure to go to www.hodeby.com, that's HODEBY.com, to find a lot more information on house design. I'm Cale, hoping you have a lot of fun designing your new home.